She was the youngest billionaire CEO in the country. Her name commanded boardrooms, her decisions moved markets, and her empire seemed unshakable. But one rainy night, everything collapsed in a single phone call. Betrayed, ruined, and left with nothing but her car and pride. She found herself lost on the edge of the city. Her designer heels sank into mud as thunder roared above her. That night, the woman who once owned skyscrapers was forced to knock on the door of a makeshift tent beneath a bridge, where a poor black homeless woman offered her a piece of bread and a blanket. What began as an act of pity would soon turn into a miracle that changed both of their lives forever. Evelyn Hart was a woman people envied and feared. The media called her the Iron Queen, a ruthless business genius who built a billion-dollar tech empire before the age of 40. Her face was on magazine covers. Her company sponsored world events, and her every move was watched by millions. Yet, beneath the flawless exterior lay loneliness, the kind that money couldn't buy away. One morning, everything changed. A corporate scandal broke out. Her partner of 10 years, someone she trusted like family, betrayed her, leaking confidential data to competitors. Within hours, Evelyn's empire crumbled. Banks froze her accounts, shareholders turned away, and her name became poison. By nightfall, she was no longer the richest woman in America, just another headline of downfall. With nowhere to go, Evelyn drove aimlessly through the outskirts of the city. Her luxury car eventually ran out of fuel near an abandoned bridge. The wind howled, rain lashed against her windows, and for the first time in her life, she was afraid. Through the darkness, she saw flickering light, a small fire burning under the bridge. There, wrapped in old blankets and surrounded by a few possessions, sat an elderly black woman humming softly to herself. Evelyn hesitated, pride warring with desperation. But the storm left her no choice. She stepped out, trembling, drenched, and approached the woman who would unknowingly rewrite her destiny. The woman's name was Martha. She looked to be in her late 60s. Skin weathered, eyes gentle, and voice soft yet firm. When Evelyn asked for shelter, Martha simply nodded, shifting her blanket aside. "There's room enough for both," she whispered. That night, Evelyn lay on damp cardboard staring at the ceiling of the bridge. The scent of smoke and rust filled the air. Martha shared half of her stale bread and poured her some tea from a dented kettle. Evelyn, shivering, couldn't understand how someone with nothing could still be so peaceful. Over the next few days, Evelyn stayed with Martha. The storm had flooded the roads, and she had no money to leave. She watched as Martha helped other homeless people who came by, offering food, warmth, and words of encouragement. Everyone seemed to respect her, calling her Mama Martha. Evelyn noticed something strange. Martha had a small box she guarded carefully. Inside were faded photos of a young girl, a diploma, and a newspaper clipping titled, "Local Teacher Honored for Saving Lives." When Evelyn asked about it, Martha smiled faintly. "That was another lifetime. Before life took everything, I gave everything." Evelyn began helping Martha serve soup to others. Each day, she learned more about kindness, humility, and resilience, qualities she had forgotten existed in her world of profit and pride. Then came the breaking point. Evelyn's former company released a public statement, accusing her of fraud. Reporters hunted her down. When they finally found her, she was standing beside Martha, holding a ladle, feeding the hungry. The cameras clicked relentlessly, and social media erupted. Some mocked her fall from grace, but others saw something different. A humbled leader rediscovering humanity. Days later, Martha collapsed one evening by the fire. Evelyn rushed her to a free clinic, but the doctors said her heart was failing. "She's been on the streets too long," they whispered. Evelyn held her hand, tears streaming down her face. Martha smiled weakly and said, "You were never poor, child. You just didn't know what being rich truly meant." Martha passed away 2 days later. Evelyn was devastated. For the first time in her life, she cried not for herself, but for someone else's loss. She arranged a small funeral, attended by homeless men and women, each sharing stories of how Mama Martha had saved their lives. After the burial, Evelyn found Martha's small box again. Inside it was a note, neatly folded. If you ever find your way again, build something that feeds hearts, not just pockets. Those words ignited something in Evelyn's soul. She realized that Martha had given her the one thing her billions never could: purpose. Evelyn decided to start over, not as a CEO, but as a servant of compassion. She sold her last remaining assets, used her network, and founded the Heart Foundation, a charity dedicated to providing homes and education for homeless women. Named in Martha's memory, the world watched as the once fallen billionaire transformed into a symbol of redemption. Interviews flooded in, but Evelyn never spoke about her loss or her guilt. She only said, "I met an angel who wore rags instead of wings." Years later, a new shelter opened in the heart of the city. Above its gates hung a golden plaque that read, "The Martha Center, where dignity lives." Evelyn stood quietly during the ceremony, surrounded by reporters, city officials, and dozens of women who now had homes, jobs, and hope. As she looked at the smiling faces, she remembered the night of the storm, the cardboard bed, the cracked teacup, and Martha's voice echoing softly in the dark. Her empire was gone, but she had built something far greater. She finally understood that wealth wasn't measured in digits, but in deeds, and that sometimes it takes losing everything to learn what truly matters. Evelyn gazed up at the plaque and whispered, "You saved me before I ever knew I needed saving." The crowd erupted in applause, but in her heart, she heard one question that Martha once asked the night they first met. "When the storm ends, child, will you still remember the ones who sheltered you?" And Evelyn knew her answer would always be yes.